Welcome to the Straight Red Card, and today Brett and I are going to discuss the Gold Cup and the U.S. performance so far coming out of the group stage. And Brett, I was listening to PTI today, Tony and Michael Wilbon, and the question posed to them I thought was interesting because I don't think they really know enough about soccer to be actually answering any soccer questions, but the question was, what chance does Bob Bradley have to coach the U.S. team come World Cup time, 2014? And I think Tony even mentioned that there are all these rumors floating around that Bob's job was on the line yesterday against Guadeloupe, and if they had lost, Bob was gone. And, of course, there's so much talk about that online right now. People all over the place saying, you know, it's time for Bob to step down. This team looks stale. They look like they're heading in the wrong direction. We even saw that in some of the major papers as well. So, I don't know, Brett. Is it time for Bob to step down, or is this too premature?
Well, you know, I think the quote-unquote lot of talk about his job being on the line stems from these the many articles that are out. I don't think there's actual talk about it. I just think it's people voicing their opinion that his job should be on the line. At which point, if we would have lost, or heck, if we would have drew Guadalupe, I think he should have stepped down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but Bob's not going to step down, right?
He's not going to step down.
No.
Why would he?
He'd have to be forced off.
Yeah. In all honesty, unless something terrible were to happen, like, I mean, not getting out of group stage of the Gold Cup for the first time in I don't know how long, I don't see the USSF firing him. I don't see it happening, strictly because they would have to continue paying his salary plus pay some new coach's salary. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, USSF is not that profitable.
Yeah.
People like to say, like, oh, there should be all this money, they have all this money. But you know what, quite frankly, I mean, it's been posted, they work on on the line. It's that close. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they need to take more bribes. That's the key there, I think. But, you know, the other point to make is that who else is really out there that's available right now? Mm-hmm. Let's say the U.S. loses to Jamaica, and they're out. And a lot of people will call for Bob Bradley's head right after that's over. And let's face it, Jamaica's a darn good. They're a quick team. They're gonna really they're gonna be a handful. So you know, yeah. I mean, you'd like to think that Bob Bradley's job would be on the line if we can't get to the Gold Cup finals. But in reality, you know, who are you gonna start talking to Jurgen Klinsmann again? I mean, how many times are you going to – is that dance? Are you going to dance with that guy over and over again? So,
well, to be fair, if USSF wasn't willing to give in the amount of power that he's been demanding –
That's your dog.
if they're not willing to give in the power at the beginning of the cycle, I don't see them giving in now.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people that have been calling for Bradley's job since last cycle will give you the usual suspects, but at this point, I mean, we couldn't afford them. We couldn't afford them before we had Bob Bradley's salary on the books. So
yeah,
it's basically what's going to happen is we're going to get another look of perhaps a former USA player itself. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I mean, Brecky's looking for a job, I'm sure. I think he's assisting with Bradley, actually.
Great.
But I mean, will it be an improvement? Is the big question.
Right. That's what we need. Brecky, a real bully, to be the coach of the U.S. national team. I mean, listen, Brecky's record in Toronto and all the talk behind the scenes of what he did in Chivas USA as far as player treatment. I mean, I really don't think that's the kind of person required to coach the United States national team. I think you have to be a little more political and a little bit less of a jerk
I wasn't specifically saying that
Yeah.
whether or not he'd be an improvement. I'm just saying whether or not the people that we can get, aside from Bradley at this point, would be an improvement. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. You just brought up Preki, and whenever anybody brings up Preki, I kind of lose control. But then, there's Jason Kreis, there's Siggy Schmidt, and they're going to be people from all corners of the earth who said, oh, no, not Ziggy Schmidt. Please don't even recommend that guy. And then there'll be others that say he's done a great job wherever he's gone. And then there's Jason Kreis. People will say maybe he's too young. But then again, it's a change of pace. And look at what Jason's done with RSL. And it's, something you certainly would like to see with the U.S. team. But it isn't as if, Brett, that the U.S. team didn't have possession all game long against Guadeloupe, because they did. They frankly just didn't have the focus to score.
Yeah, and that's what it came down to. Is it just came down to poor and unlucky finishing at times. You look at Dempsey, and it's an obvious place to start the conversation at.
Gosh.
Dempsey had what could have been on any other given day for Dempsey should have been 4 goals.
Yep.
He had 2 headers that just went wide of the goal. He had 1 spin kick that went wide of the goal, which, by the way, would have been a tough shot even if he was on form.
Right.
And then he had the sitter that what I imagine is his attempt to try to walk the ball into the goal.
Yeah, and isn't that just kind of arrogance, though, there at that point? I mean, really. Listen, Clint, we all know Clint's a great player. He doesn't have to, get all cocky and dribble the ball into the goal. I couldn't believe he did it. And basically what he was trying to say by dribbling the ball into the goal is, oh, yeah, this is a walk in the park for me. Well, guess what? It wasn't a walk in the park, and you lost the ball, and it wasn't a goal, and you'd already blown a few before that, headers, so why would you even screw around with that? To me, again, we used to see this with Clint in the old days. Sometimes it's that, it's too much, it was a little too much showboating going on, and I thought he'd cut that out of his game completely. I was hoping he had, but that showed a real arrogance and a total lack of focus in the middle of a game that really, honestly, could have cost his coach his job.
Well, and then outside of Dempsey, you had Bedoya with a couple opportunities.
They weren't easy, though.
Do what?
Those weren't easy, though.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm just saying there were opportunities on goal that could have led to goals.
Right.
Wondolowski had a couple of opportunities. Donovan had one that he skyrocketed on top of the goal line.
Yep.
The opportunities were there. We had clear-cut possession. We dominated the game. It just, once we got to the final third, it just seemed that we were trying to do too much with it in there.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Josie let one rip from outside the box.
Yeah, that was the highlight, obviously. Yeah.
It was great that he scored and he's getting back. He's getting his rhythm back. But I just want some U.S. players to grow a pair and try their chances from outside the box.
Yeah.
If it's a decent shot on goal, the keeper might deflect it, open up an opportunity inside the box for somebody who's crashing the goal.
Right.
Or he could put it away like Josie did.
Yeah.
We need to try things. We need to stop trying to get inside, the inside the 18 around the PK area. We need to get away from focusing on getting in there and looking to be placing those shots from outside.
Yeah, you don't always have to score a goal standing 3 feet away from the
Nope.
the
And the
goal.
U.S. apparently can't do that.
Yeah, well, they can't score a goal, period, it looks like right now. The Canadian game being the exception. Of course, we managed to slide one in against Panama, but finishing has just been a real struggle, and we've made a lot of very mediocre teams look actually pretty good. Not that Panama isn't a good team. Sure, they're a decent team. A lot of players playing in South America, no doubt. They just out-physicaled us. They made us look really tentative, and they pushed us off the ball. They were winning all the 50-50 balls, and we just looked like we just didn't give a damn, really, in that game.
There was a lot of disinterest in there. I noticed it with Donovan. With the Guadalupe game, it seemed like almost as if Donovan were like, oh, no, Trundle is back there. They're not going to start anything in the attack, so I'll lax my defensive responsibilities a bit.
Yeah.
And I know we rely on him to do a lot into the attack, and asking him to come back and play defense all game is asking a lot of what we expect him to do. But there were times where, if he would have put in a little more effort, he could have gotten pressured the guy sooner. Mm-hmm. Instead, he sort of just jogged back, and it opened up opportunities if Guadalupe wasn't constantly offsides.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about Landon, he's looked kind of tentative on offense too. Really, not really attacking the goal, not trying to drive by people enough or at all at times. Kind of happy with just dropping the ball off and
didn't rip that 30-yard shot whenever the keeper gift wrapped him.
Yep.
The open goal.
Yep.
I mean,
give it a rip.
I mean, it was wide open. He couldn't have been anywhere. He had to have been outside the 18.
Yeah.
When he got the ball. I mean, it's just one touch, and you look, and he could have left-footed that over him.
Right. I agree. And then Wondolowski gets the start instead of Agudelo in Game 3, and of course, on the other hand, Bocanegra moves to center back, and Tim Ream takes the break. So the young guys they're out after the first two games. And that's sort of that's kind of Bob Bradley's way of saying that didn't really work out yet. Now that everything's on the line, I'm putting my veterans, my older guys back in. That's how I saw it.
That's how I saw it too, to tell you the truth. Although I don't know if Wondolowski is necessarily a a veteran player over Agudelo. In all honesty, I think Agudelo has more playing time with the U.S. national team than Wondolowski does. Mm-hmm. I just thought that Wondolowski and Josie worked well together. I thought at least Josie looked better.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was because Wando was out there instead of Agudelo, I doubt that's the situation why. But it was just Josie's game.
Yeah.
My only beef with Bradley was the timing of his subs, especially with Michael. I'm glad that he brought Michael out. I just wish it would have happened closer towards the 70th marker.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me, and
yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of people that are screaming like, "Oh, why doesn't he take him out during a meaningful game?" And he did. I just wish he would have done it sooner because Bradley looked gassed.
Yeah, he looked gassed. He looked disinterested. He was making some poor passes, and unlike the earlier game, when he came in versus Spain, for instance, during the friendly, he looked fabulous, but he just looked like he had no idea what was going on, and just kind of like. Mm-hmm.
It was his third game in a week, and mixed with that, the fact that he hasn't had much playing time with Aston Villa, his game fitness is down. I mean, but you can't ask him to play the full 90 every game in 3 games over a week span. So
we're playing teams that were also played 2 to 3 games. I don't know. I mean, to me, I understand the concept, and I understand why Bradley might be a little tired, but come on. There are a lot of other guys out there that look like they were dragging ass, and they've been playing regularly, and they shouldn't be tired. They should be fit. They should be no less tired than the opponents who are running their balls off. Frankly, Panama ran their asses off and outplayed us because they just simply had a chip on their shoulder, and they wanted to beat the United States.
Disinterest, whether or not that stems down from Coach Bradley not motivating them enough. One thing for sure, I don't think we can blame Bradley for the outcome of the Guadalupe game. It should have been a 4-5-0 game.
Can you imagine, what's going to happen if you tie? Sure, you're going to move on out of the group, but you tie Guadalupe. I mean, it would have been embarrassing on a grand scale for him, and it would
without poor of missed opportunities for Dempsey. One would suspect maybe that's a conspiracy theory to be built upon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Dempsey hates Bob Bradley and wants him gone, so he just purposely missed all those open shots last night. Well, all I got to say is they do look stale, Brett. They looked really stale.